Alright everybody, welcome to Apocalypse Movies. My name is Gio, and we are here to review Suicide Squad. This is a spoilers review, right?
It is. I'm Jacob. I'm Jacob, by the way.
I'm gonna introduce. This is Jacob Bartley, and this is Jake Berlin. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing fantastic.
All right, we're here to talk about Suicide Squad. Well, like always, guys, we're gonna go through our positives, our negatives, and we're gonna give an overall score. Before we go into positives, let's talk about what we thought of the film first. Let's go a little bit overall impressions of the movie. Let's start with Jacob this time.
All right, so I unfortunately was exposed to hearing about the Rotten Tomatoes score and the bad reviews going into this movie. Mixed reviews, but more bad. And I try to avoid that stuff, but unfortunately I was exposed to it. And I tried to leave it at the door when I went in, and I just watched the movie. I was super excited when the movie started. You saw me. I was jumping up and down. I was so excited. And overall, I liked it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not just gonna, just because I'm a DC fan, I'm not gonna lie. I liked the movie, but the problem is, I wanted to love it. I wanted to absolutely love this film. I wanted this to put DC on the map as far as comic book cinematic universes go, and I don't think it's going to do that. But overall, I think it's just a good movie, and I liked it. It had huge problems that affected my opinion of it so much that it affected it from being even a really good movie. But overall, I enjoyed more things that I disliked, but the one or two huge things that bothered me were huge negatives. So it just left me at liking the film.
Yeah, I'll go next. The marketing for this movie had us all believing that this was going to be fantastic. This was going to be unlike what BVS had.
The marketing was amazing. It was way better than Batman v Superman.
I know. I would make an argument that Suicide Squad's marketing is the best for comic book movies ever.
Deadpool.
But
Deadpool. I gotta give it to Deadpool.
These last two Suicide Squad trailers are, and
I'm just saying the Deadpool marketing overall, the way it transcended social media and everything, I don't know.
Okay, well that's a conversation for another time, but I saw the Rotten Tomatoes. I saw some signs going into the movie like this might not be the hit that we all thought it would be, and it unfortunately was not the hit that we all thought it would be. That doesn't mean I didn't like the movie. I did. I liked the movie. Great characters, great performances all around. Some cool action scenes. Some funny dialogue. But it just wasn't what I was hoping for it to be. Like, you all see the LexCorp shirt over here. I'm rooting for this DCEU to stop being a joke and for people to start taking it seriously.
Intended.
Yeah, exactly. And for myself, it's just all the behind the scenes stuff and everything that went on and the studio meddling and this and that. I'm not trying to make any excuses, but I could see where you had David Ayer, and then you had the studio pressure for it to be fun and this and that, and how it sometimes ran into each other and conflicted, and it turned into a little bit of this mess. But overall, I liked it. I had fun. Some great characters. I'm excited to see where these characters go, but not the hit I was hoping for it to be.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat. I think that the trailers and the images and the cast and how excited they were, and just how different the movie was, the anticipation level was just too high for this movie to kind of live up to the hype. I think we were all hoping for. I think David Ayer was the perfect choice for the director. I think they got the cast involved. And like these guys said, it just wasn't what it was going to be. And, I probably have different opinions compared to these guys, and we'll get into that later, but the movie definitely has good stuff. It definitely has some bad stuff. I, too, was looking forward to it more than anybody. I think it was like number 5 on my anticipation list for this year overall.
It was in all of our top 10s.
Yeah,
I believe,
I think that, unfortunately, it may have just got too much hype around it. And, it had all the pieces in place, but unfortunately there were just some things that did not go over right. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But sure, it was an entertaining movie, but it also wasn't the best movie. So,
I mean, look at this. It's shit like this that got us all excited. You see that? You see them? Like,
No, that guy right there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's the best.
This is a spoilers review, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck, Slipknot?
Slipknot is the best.
Adam Beach?
That guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Great character.
All right. Let's talk about some of the good things that we like. And I'll start off with this one. Harley Quinn, we can't go wrong. Margot Robbie, she killed it. You know, she was everything that I would have expected the character to be on screen. Jared Leto's Joker. Look, Jared Leto, he was never going to be as good as Heath Ledger. He wasn't even going to be on par as Heath Ledger. You know why? Because of two things. Story focus and screen time. He did not have enough of either for it to even warrant a conversation between the two. I am interested to see where he goes in the future, a solo Batman movie. But for me, I bought into it. Like, he won me over. I want to see where he goes next. The relationship between Joker and Harley Quinn, I loved it. Fantastic. The dialogue. Hey, Puddin', you know, and the scene that stood out for me was, they call it the chemical wedding, where she jumps into the
dives in.
Yeah. What Joker said when he said, no, that's too easy. Live for me.
Yeah.
You know, be who you are. I loved it. That was so fantastic. Will Smith as Deadshot. Look, everyone had this concern that he would overtake everything, but Deadshot, he's a character who naturally in the Suicide Squad stories, he has a big
he's one of the main characters.
He's a leader. He's one of the guys that Rick Flag can count on when shit gets tough because he's lethal. We saw that in that action scene. He had a gun, he had his wrist up, and he was taking them all down. Everyone's like, why am I here? You know, this guy, he can do it all. So there was some cool action. There was some funny dialogue. Captain Boomerang,
He was pretty funny.
He was funny. Yeah. He would mess around with these guys. You know, fire this and that. We're talking spoilers here. There's a scene where Rick Flag destroys his thing, and he's like, "You're all free to go." Boomerang, first one to leave. He just gets up and
right
leaves.
away.
Yeah.
And then when they're walking afterwards, he just walks right up with
walks
them.
up there like, okay.
Like,
I'm
where'd
in.
he go?
Yeah. And El Diablo, Jay Hernandez, like,
Stand out.
who knew? Like,
The biggest surprise
the biggest
of the film
surprise.
as far as
Stand out.
positives go.
Yeah.
He was great.
he was one of the few characters who was given some backstory, who, you know, you understood why he was being the way he was, the tragic with his family. Like, for a lot of these members, they're bad guys, but they also had families at one point. They had people who cared about them, who still do. So they find some, they look to find some redemption by doing some good. So, I mean, we can get into all sorts of positives. I know you guys got a lot. Viola Davis, I mean, as Amanda Waller, incredible. The soundtrack, I love the music in this movie. I love the way it was used. Sure, it might have been a little bit too much, but for me, it fit because you think about the music, it fit where it was placed in the movie, what we were watching on screen. For myself, so who's next? Who wants to take positives?
I think you pretty much covered everything, man. No, I'm just
I didn't.
kidding.
There's
No,
a lot
alright,
more.
so I have a lot of the same positives as you, but like
Talk about
different reasons.
Yeah.
One thing I knew for sure was that Margot Robbie was going to kill it as Harley Quinn. You could just tell from the trailers. I think that was the one sure thing going into this movie, and she definitely delivered. She maybe even exceeded expectations. I thought she was fantastic as Harley Quinn, and she made someone who's dangerous and pretty much a murderer likable, and she was charming. She carried the movie along with Will Smith. And Will Smith, I can't decide. I'm pretty sure Will Smith was the best part of the movie for me. He was fantastic as far as his performance. He gave it his all. You could tell that he actually cared about this role, and they wrote the Deadshot character really, really well. Jay Hernandez as Diablo, great character. Maybe right up there with Harley Quinn and Deadshot as far as the best characters in the film. At first they introduce him, and you're like, wait, why is he acting like that? And then they explain why, and it makes complete sense, and it's a great story, a backstory for him. And yeah, the Harley Quinn and Joker stuff was really cool. I'm still not sure how I feel about Jared Leto's Joker. It wasn't a big enough sample size for me to make a full opinion on it.
That's fair.
But
That's fair.
I don't know if I liked it or not. I can't tell. I have to rewatch the film, but I do know that I love the interactions between the Joker and Harley Quinn, specifically because it told Harley Quinn's story. I liked the cameos. Batman didn't overshadow the movie. the couple spots where he shows up, it made sense and it didn't take me out of the film. I was worried about the Flash cameo that was thrown around out there before the movie came out. It was so small that it's not going to have any impact at all. It was very small, like a split second.
It's fan service.
It was very quick. No pun intended. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot. The performances were great for the most part. Like every member of the squad was pretty good. Joel Kinnaman, I'm a huge fan of Joel Kinnaman ever since The Killing, and I'm so happy he got this opportunity and he really delivered. And I think the biggest thing for me is, while I didn't love the movie, I loved the squad itself. Like, I enjoyed every moment with this team together and them, the action with them and them doing their thing. But I just want to see them like I want to see a sequel and them in a different mission, different plot, different story. Because those were the flaws with this film. But overall, just the squad itself. And I can go on. It's weird because we weren't satisfied with this film, but yet we cannot stop talking about positives. So, Jake, what do you got as far as positives?
You guys covered it. I mean, some of the best parts of the movie were Will Smith as Deadshot and Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I think those are the two standouts, and especially their relationship together as they grew through the film. The two of them, Will Smith kind of took on this like almost fatherly role to everybody as the film went on.
Yeah,
and he was one of the few characters who had some kind of character development, and you saw that over the course of the film. We've known for quite a while that Margot Robbie's going to stand out as Harley Quinn. She just took over this role. She embraced it. She became the character. First person to ever do it on screen, and she crushed it. The Jared Leto stuff, or the Joker and Harley Quinn stuff was good. As Jacob said, I still don't know how I feel about Joker as well. Not enough sample size. He just didn't interact with enough characters to see how it was.
He was barely in the movie.
Yeah, so... And, Jacob had mentioned as well, but the team chemistry between the squad itself, not the outside special forces, but the actual supervillains, there were some really good character moments, and they had mentioned a bunch of them, but Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, those funny moments, although a bunch of them were ruined in the trailers.
Yeah.
There were some funny moments. Katana was actually a good surprise there. She had a good story behind her as well. Mm-hmm. Jay Hernandez as El Diablo. The big surprise where he turned full-blown Diablo to
we need to talk about that.
A lot of people were not expecting that. I knew that at some point
awesome.
that was going to happen. That's a huge part of his character. I wish that he wouldn't have passed. That kind of sucks, but...
I don't know, man. I think he could survive that
we'll
blast.
see.
Think
We'll
about
have to
what
see.
his powers
Yeah.
entails.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, but we can go on for positives. There's a whole bunch. But there are a bunch of negatives, so...
Well, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't think I liked it as much as these guys. I think there were the number one thing you have to talk about is the story, the mission that these characters went on. It's not that it didn't make sense. It just it didn't fit. Like it just wasn't there. And the whole trash pile in the sky thing is like, okay, didn't really invest you in the story, and you didn't believe that these characters would go on this kind of mission. And that kind of leads into something else for me. I hated the Rick Flag Enchantress stuff. The whole love story. I absolutely hated
I didn't mind that.
I thought it's such a disservice to the character of Rick Flag. Nothing against Joel Kinnaman. I think he crushed it as playing the role he was given. But I could not stand the whole love interest thing.
Wow.
It took away...
I didn't love it. I didn't mind it either.
It bothered me big time. I thought that it was a total disservice to the character.
It was a manipulation from
Amanda Waller.
But I get it.
It didn't work for me at all. I thought that there were a whole bunch of characters that were misused, underused. I thought Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang was underused. A bunch of characters were not given a backstory. There was barely any Killer Croc. There was no Slipknot, as you can see earlier.
That was... I don't know if I liked that moment or hated it.
It was just a moment to tell us fans that they can kill them.
Oh, and show the squad that now they have to obey Rick Flag. That was what it was.
And protect him.
Yeah, and another one, the villain was so weak. And spoiler review, it's Enchantress. It's her and her brother. She brings her brother back from the mystical side or whatever, and she's doing some kind of octopus stuff the entire time.
Dancing.
It's just, it was very unfortunate. The whole mission thing and the villain, it's just, everything outside of the squad and the characters and the actors playing them was so wrong. I felt this, and on top of the messy edits and the way the film was cut together, and it's just, it was a big mess for me. And I, honestly... it was entertaining, but I didn't enjoy it. And I know that kind of contradicts itself, but sure, there were fun
the movie
moments.
as a whole?
Yeah, and there were some great moments, like Deadshot's scene in the very beginning where he's cutting down those bad guys, and there's some cool Harley Quinn stuff and some fun moments in the building when they're fighting the bad guys. But as a whole, man, I did not enjoy the movie.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, Jacob, go ahead, take it, man.
Yeah, you know what I love? I love when the good guys, they show up to the big fight scene and your villain is dancing while she's talking.
Literally.
Literally. What? I thought I was freaking dreaming during that scene. I don't know what the hell was going on. Here's the thing. I liked Enchantress up until the point to when she brought her brother back. And then what the hell was her brother character? What? That does not belong in a Suicide Squad movie. That the Enchantress, and maybe I don't know if she was in the squad in the comic books or not. I'm not a comic book expert.
She is.
But I don't feel like in the first movie for Suicide Squad they should be fighting a sorcerer, a sorcerer or a god or a huge fantastical thing. If Diablo was not with them, they would have got destroyed, because none of them have superpowers. I mean, Diablo and Killer Croc, you could say, are the only ones who really have
Killer
superpowers.
Croc wouldn't be able to do it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So how are they supposed to fight these freaking demons or gods or whatever they are? It doesn't make any sense at all. I couldn't believe it. I was like thinking to myself, like, how do you create this storyline or write this or put it on the screen and like, yeah, this is good. This is what we were going for. I do not understand at all. She was literally dancing. Like, did they not? Was that not dancing, or what was she doing? I have no idea. Here's the thing. I said this in my other review. Like, Batman v Superman had its problems, but nothing nearly as bad as that shit with Enchantress and whatever her brother's name is. I don't know what the hell was going on. That was my biggest flaw. And yeah, a lot of the characters were disserviced. Like, Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang was great in those little moments, but he was barely in it. Like, Slipknot literally gets his head blown off.
He had 2 scenes, literally 2 scenes.
He had like 3 lines of dialogue.
Now that I think about it, he's not in the trailers at all.
No.
But from the visual marketing, the posters and like the images, you're like, oh, he's part of the squad.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Slipknot, that's gonna be dope. Nope. Right? He was just a device, a tool for the story. That was it. There's a few other things, but just the Enchantress and her brother thing, like, is a huge flaw to me, and I could not believe what I was watching on screen, honestly.
Okay, I know this is negatives, but for me, the Rick Flag, Enchantress...
I didn't mind that. I liked that, actually.
I didn't mind it because it kind of humanized Rick Flag. You know, it showed that, you know, he's an emotional guy.
And it reminded
he's not
us
all
that
military tactical
that Enchantress
Duke Nukem guy.
was possessing a real human being in June Moon.
Right.
It humanized both of them.
And for me, it kind of made Amanda Waller that much more hateful, that she would, like, manipulate, like, mess with a guy's heart. You don't do that, okay?
Oh, she doesn't care?
Yeah.
She'll cross any boundaries.
Well, you saw what she did in her people who were with her in the building inside Midway City.
Dude, that was badass.
Like, she just goes cops people,
pops them all.
Yeah, it's like,
that's Amanda Waller for you. And as for El Diablo, I feel like that kind of showed why he's that much more important. You know, he's not just this side character who would just blow fire. Like, he has something more to offer to the team.
He's the most powerful one on the team.
Yeah, so for me,
hands down.
So for me, it kind of just the team would have gotten roasted at the end battle, but it also showed the importance of, you know, that each of these guys. Granted, some roles are bigger than less, but everybody
played their role. Yeah.
Killer Croc, you know, with the swimming thing. You know, Katana helping to fight. You know, with her sword is pretty deadly. You know, cut through anything. For me, I have to agree with you. Like, the editing, there is so much like that's. I feel like there's so much that's missing. You know, like, we saw stuff that we saw in the trailers, but then it would cut to something else. I'm like, oh, that's it.
You can tell scenes are cut out.
Oh, there was stuff cut out, like that bar scene from the trailer.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, what do you want? What do you have in?
Yeah.
It was cut out of the movie.
You can just tell by the way it was cut. Like, you're missing parts because it doesn't fluidly go into the next
the editing
scene.
department over there at Warner Bros. in DC.
Yeah. And another negative that some people had was the character motivations. But for myself, I felt like Amanda Waller was as much motivation that this squad needed. You know, you either do what she says, or you're gonna die. You know, or you're not gonna be able to see your kid again, or you're not gonna be able to I don't know, maybe she, get time off your sentence so you can go and
get an espresso machine
or get
or
an espresso
TV.
machine. Yeah. So I mean, it's just for me. I thought the character motivations weren't a problem, but I mean, I can understand if they are. It's fine. And my last one was, for me, the bar scene and the scene right before that where they're in the rain. Those two, like, I felt like those were moments that could have been more earned had they would maybe developed a little bit more given more time to the squad itself. Like, they're sitting in the bar, they're having drinks, and they're talking about how they're gonna get blamed for this, but their bad guys own it and they come together, and then later on El Diablo's like, my family, this and that. If they would have given a little bit more time to the squad together, them interacting, I felt like that could have been more earned. And so I agree with Jacob, like more time with the Suicide Squad, because the chemistry is there. David Ayer wasn't lying, the cast wasn't lying, they really bonded together on screen, and there are moments when you can see it. I just wish there would have been a little bit more, and I know there's more. I want that Blu-ray, that Ultimate Edition, whatever that is, that 3-hour cut. Like,
every DC movie gets an Ultimate Edition after it comes out.
And I'm getting tired of it. As someone who proudly wears this shirt, I'm getting a little tired of it, so y'all better get your shit together, because I'm about to...
Here's my thing. The Suicide Squad, they're made up of mostly non-superpowered beings, right? They should have been taking on a task that was non-fantastical, non-superpowered.
Like the Joker.
Exactly. The Joker should have been the main villain and them fighting his goons. That's it. Simple. First movie out. Maybe in the second movie they take on a bigger task, but for this first movie they shouldn't have been fighting some huge giant cloud. I don't even know what that was, and
trash pile,
a dancing enchantress. I don't know.
I don't mind. I don't mind a little superpowers, because we are living
me neither.
We are living in a post Man of Steel world, but yeah, I tend to agree. I would have liked for it to be a little bit more grounded. I don't know. We'll see, guys. So
we saw.
Well, I mean, we'll see if there's another version. David Ayer's version.
There's another version.
I bet you there's another version out there.
He came out and said, "This is my cut."
No. Well, did you hear that they actually test screened 2 movies?
I don't know. I just read he came out recently and said the theatrical cut is my cut.
Well,
but him. He's like,
he's not going to pull
defend
a Josh
his movie.
Trank, So we talked about the positives. We talked about the negatives. So let's give this thing a score. Final thoughts, and then your score. Let's start with Jacob.
All right, I know I talked a lot of shit, and the huge problem I had, with Enchantress and her brother, but that's like the one big negative. All my other negatives are kind of nitpicks, but that huge negative is huge, and I enjoyed the movie enough to where I liked it, and I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray. There's so many things in this movie that I absolutely really loved, honestly, because I've been waiting to see some of these characters on screen for a long time, and I'm going to go with my original score that I've been thinking in my head for a while, and that is a 7 out of 10 for Suicide Squad.
All right. Jake, what do you got, buddy?
So obviously I had some major problems with the movie. I didn't enjoy as much as these guys, and honestly I didn't say it with my negatives, but when I was watching the movie, it's not as bad, but I got some serious Fantastic Four vibes while watching the movie.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm not saying it's as bad as Fantastic Four, but moments I was there. But again, Will Smith is Deadshot, Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. There's some great stuff in here. If you just go in for the squad alone, you're going to come out pleased, because the squad themselves is pretty good together. Mm-hmm. But as for a score, I'm going to go with a 5 out of 10.
Oof. All right. Well, like I said, I had fun watching the movie. You can definitely notice the edity, choppy stuff in there. Maybe the villain wasn't as, cool and, logical as we all thought it would have been. But the characters were great. There were some fun action sequences. Amanda Waller's a bitch. We can go on and on. I'm going to go with a very favorable 7.5 out of 10 for Suicide Squad. Well, that about does it, guys. Let us know what you thought about Suicide Squad. If you liked it, you didn't like it, you loved it. Check out the soundtrack, too. It's pretty beast. I'd like to thank these gentlemen for joining me today. Jacob, why don't you tell them where they can find you, buddy?
You can find me on Twitter at JacobBarley_, and on this YouTube channel. Subscribe and like. We really do appreciate it.
And Jake Berlin.
Twitter, Instagram at Qui-Gon Jake with 2 N's, apocalypsemovies.com every day, writing up some articles, and this YouTube channel every week.
And I'm Gio. Thanks for joining us. You can find me on Twitter at GioRamos24, and we'll get back to you guys another time.